The Orbital Guard's Origin Story, Episode 21, Empathy. After the origin briefing, our group quietly dispersed, and I entered a nearby corridor and decided to take some well-deserved rest. At Cove, long-duration sleep wasn't just serious. Everything revolved around it. Sleep is regarded as a strategic recalibration of human consciousness, a carefully monitored symbiosis between biology and technology. In Panda mode, each transit corridor is lined with faint threads of primary colors, no thicker than a human hair. These lines are easily missed unless you know exactly what to look for. When you place the tip of your index finger against the green line and made a certain sound, you gained access to a Somnus 9 sleep pod. Some of the frogs lovingly referred to these pods as Leviathan nodes. The sound that you uttered was the word poppies. Once your biometric and audio pairing were accepted, a circular opening would appear, and the nearest pod within your direction of travel would be made available. The Somnus 9 was conceived as an answer to the traditional racks that were found on 21st century submarines or aircraft carriers. The pod itself was 15 feet long with 8 feet of headspace. But once inside, the interior space felt much larger. A clever trick of the mind to combat claustrophobia and instantly promote relaxation. The Somnus 9 was our foundation for overall well-being and optimal human function. It was so cleverly designed, it would make even a veteran OG, frog, or turtle forget that they were miles underneath the seafloor. The time you spent within the pod was non-regulated, meaning the amount of rest you took was completely up to you, and this was never questioned. Some people were fine with a quick 3 to 6 hour power nap, and some needed a standard 8 or 9 hours. Others might require 10 hours or more. Nobody messed with your sleep at Cove. The Somnus 9 was a private environment, a benevolent use of artificial intelligence that would gather and transmute data solely for your benefit before erasing it upon departure. The pod was equipped with an abundance of features. It was part hyperbaric chamber, part lymphatic clearinghouse, and part immune system booster. Every neural frequency was analyzed to the nth degree. Emotional residue was sorted, and every person's core links between mind, empathy, and purpose were reinforced. One of the most popular features of the Somnus 9 was advanced ornithology. We all dream during sleep, but most of us have great difficulty remembering our dreams. And if we do, they present as a figment of thought that appears in your mind's eye very briefly after we wake. The pod records your dreams and allows you to view them in their entirety once your conscious brain returns to the driver's seat. And yes, that does include nightmares. But like any video, you can pause, rewind, fast forward, or delete it if you wish. In my opinion, the most fascinating aspect of the Somnus 9 pod was its ability to reposition itself within the facility. Somehow, the pod knew exactly where you needed to be once your desired rest had ended. In my case, once I felt rejuvenated enough, I wanted to go to the locker room and prepare myself with appropriate gear for a training session. When I exited the pod, I found myself no more than 20 yards from that exact destination. This wasn't magic, This was expertly applied Kaizen management that clearly had access to engineering acumen that was decades ahead of the posted calendar year. I'm extremely curious by nature, so within steps of exiting the pod, I wondered what the other primary colored lines permitted access to. Each line was separated by no more than an inch, and they were approximately chest high. 6 inches above them was a distinctive purple line. I would learn later that the purple line was equivalent to a hospital code blue. It was the only biometric woven into every corridor and chamber within Panda mode, hidden in plain sight for those who knew what to look for. Once I was sorted in the locker room, I made my way to the training tent. I had entered this environment countless times, but now I was greeted with a familiar purple rectangle on the floor. One of the frogs stood nearby, and with a knowing smile, motioned me forward. The quantum neural interface had returned, and I was given personalized access to the origin of the wind itself. A single photon was now observable, and guardian angels were free to reveal their presence. Stealth capability is one of many protective layers that hide the truth, as is speed. With this technology engaged, each step I took felt like walking across El Capitan and on to Colossus. Within the developed world, military organizations topside were anywhere from 80 to 100 years ahead of the general public. As I watched others train and reach their potentials in the water and in the air, I observed the nets with empathy that surrounded us all. After completing my session, I made my way for one of the exits and saw a small group forming ahead of me. Several frogs motioned me towards them, and just as I stopped to greet my colleagues, we were informed that an Arctic Cove briefing was ready for us at our leisure. A fourth cove location in the Canadian Arctic had been rumored for years, but no one ever breached the topic out loud. We had no need to know. When frogs or turtles conducted a briefing, it usually meant the topic had become operationally mature. Integration, system, and acceptance had passed muster, and a wider net was ready to cast. After securing nutrition, our group made its way to our designated knowledge tree. Once artificial intelligence became nuclear-powered topside and was made accessible to the general public, scientists, engineers, and first responders gained far greater access into the minds of sea life. The Arctic Cove update was conducted by a frog, but the initial summary and an explanation of the ocean floor topography was given by dolphins and whales. For the first time, I realized just how little separated our intelligence from theirs.